We are 1 week away from starting our 4x5 quilt block sew-along, and I'm busy here in my studio getting ready for it. And a couple of things I want to let you know that I've discovered so far as I'm getting ready for this. First of all, the book we're going to be using is this 4x5 Quilt Block Anthology. And I have been reading it, especially the introduction, and there's definitely some things you're going to want to pay attention to in the very front. I will add on or do a separate little tiny video of how I prepped my fabrics. They're over here in pop flats, much like this that I got from my grocery store, all starched and ironed and folded and ready to be cut up and used. And I probably have at least 8 or 10 different prints and tones that are ready to be cut up and put into this quilt block. But I will let you know I've already done one quilt block. This is number 2. And it just looks so intriguing to me. You will definitely want to pay attention to the way your seams are ironed. You can kind of see this back. This is the front, and I am a little wonky off here on the bottom, but I don't care. I think it makes quilts look charming, but they are so much fun. I'm really looking forward to this. A couple of things here that I made a note on. I've had a couple of comments as to if I am Shanda, then who is Emma from Emma's Quilting Studio? Emma is my granddaughter, my firstborn granddaughter, but I now have 2 granddaughters. So I don't think I'll change the name of my quilting studio, but I am blessed to have 2 granddaughters now, 7-year-old Emma and 19-month-old Oakley. You will want to, the second thing I want to let you know is you will want to make yourself some design boards for this reason right here. Here's block number 1. I have it, the pieces cut out, but I put it on a design board, and I have made 6 other ones here. You might want to go out, and I had a lot of fun making these. You might want to go out to Lori Holt. She is with Be in My Bonnet Quilting Studio. And she shows you, she has a great YouTube video on how to make these design boards. The beauty of these is that you can cut, this is block number 1, you can cut out however many blocks you want at a time and then stack them on top of one another and take them straight to your sewing machine and piece them without having to miss parts, lose parts, try to decide which way what goes. But here's block number 1, and I sewed block number 2 this morning. So, these design boards are heaven sent. There will be some challenging blocks. I mentioned that, I think, in a couple videos ago. If you're a beginning quilter, pick the blocks you want to include in your quilt top. You don't have to do 182. I want to, just because. I think this is very close to the Jane Sickle quilt. In the fact that there's a lot of blocks, a lot of pieces, and the blocks are so unique in their size. Most blocks are 6x6, 8x8, you know, even numbers, where these blocks are all 4x5. Unfinished, they're 4.5 by 5.5, but when you put them in a quilt block, or a quilt top, excuse me, they will finish out at 4x5. Another thing I'm using are these little, you'll see me when I put these out, when we start doing them week by week, I'm using alphabetties. Because I won't be able to give you the dimensions, I'm using pieces A, B, C, D, like they have in the book. Carol used A and then cut so many squares, make them into half square triangles. But I will be replicating the pieces with these alphabetties. They are from the Fat Quarter Shop. Kimberly down there has made really wonderful little alphabet tabs that you can put on your pieces to help keep your pieces straight. Again, starch. I've used a lot of starch. I went through about 3 cans of starch. So starch is my best friend right now. Not only does starched quilt tops, it raises the bar on your quilt top. Let's just put it that way. You're going to be working with some biased edges, and to me they went together easier, more precise. The fabric will be stiffer. Starch is starch based, where sizing is, it just adds more body or loft maybe, where starch keeps things stiff as a board so they're easier to sew. And with that notion, besides my Bernina that I love, I have hands-free sewing. So I have a knee lift, and I can use that without, sorry, my cat was distracting me. Without interrupting my sewing. I can just piece one piece after another. I like to use the 70 microtext needle, size 70, smaller needle, and a very fine thread, and increase your stitch length a little if you want. Some people like to shorten it when they're doing small pieces. I like to lengthen mine because it adds less bulk. Some of these seams are pretty bulky back here. And if you can kind of see, I had to iron some of my seams open and not one way. So I kind of wanted to have less thread, although it is thinner thread. I do use Aurifil. I buy the Bernina size 70 microtext needles, or an 80 universal would be sufficient too. I'm just trying to reduce the bulk in those seams because it's going to get pretty bulky. It's going to range. Each week we'll do between 2 and 4 quilt blocks a week. I just kind of want to get all the quilt blocks done in 2019. And that came out to about 3. But if it's a hard, one of the blocks are hard, or maybe strip pieced or foundation pieced, we may do just 2 blocks that week. Keep up at your own pace. You don't have to follow me every week. This could be a 2-year project for you if you want. I just think this quilt is very worthwhile to piece and to put together. Will be a lifetime quilt, as my friend Christy calls them. One other thing I will be using, they're itty bitty 8s rulers. They're put out by Lisa Bongean from Primitive Gatherings. And they are not only marked in every 1/4 of an inch, they are marked in every 1/8 of an inch. There are some 7/8, 1/8, 3/8 cuts in this book for your fabric, and this helps you keep track of exactly where that cut needs to be made. So itty bitty 8 square ruler. I have a longer one also, but the itty bitty 8s I highly recommend. Besides your sewing machine, have a really good hot iron. I prefer to use steam with mine. Steam and starch go together really good. And this block, for as many seams that's in here, it lays pretty darn flat. It's, I can't tell if you can see that or not, but it is pretty stiff and pretty flat. Good steam, good iron, lots of starch. The blocks themselves, pay attention in the book. Carol tells you which way to iron the seam, and that's very, very important. And like I said, I shortened, sometimes I will shorten my stitch length, other times I will lengthen it so that it doesn't add quite so much bulk into my seam. Twice on this block, I had to use my stiletto. I wanted to make sure the points were right on. And for those of you who don't know what a stiletto is, you can either use the sharp end of your seam ripper, or they do have specific things called stilettos. You can get one at a good quality quilting store. One person who finishes their quilt top with me, and like I said, I haven't decided who that will be, how it will be won, but it'll have to be a certain dimension, a certain size. But somebody will win their quilt top if they desire. I will quilt their quilt top for free on my long arm here in Idaho. So pay attention as to how I may have you leave comments, or I'm just not quite sure how I'm gonna do that yet. And if there are any questions for that specific week, even if this is video, if you're seeing this video or a specific video 2 years from now, 3 years from now, leave a comment in the description box or the comment section below. If you're having a question and something's not quite clear, leave a comment and I will answer your question. I have done that before to a lot of quilters, and they are so good at getting back to me. So I want to continue that high bar there and do the same. Happy piecing. We are, like I said, we're about 1 week out. The first week, I think we'll be doing 4 blocks just to start pounding them out. But like I said, if it comes to a strip piece block or an applique block, or maybe a foundation piece block, that week we may only do 2 blocks a week. So, but get your fabric starts. Go watch Lori's YouTube video on how to make a design board, and let's get piecing.